Today we're going to be looking at how to change millimetres into centimetres. So again, I've written down some questions, and you can see on the right hand side of my board that I have the grid that some of you may well have been using for the last 2 days. This is now going the other way. We're changing from a small unit into a bigger unit. If you remember, for Monday and Tuesday we were talking about multiplying everything by 10. That's because there are 10 millimetres in a centimetre. So we're still using 10, but we're not going to be multiplying this time. We're going to be dividing instead. And again, if you remembered, when we were multiplying, we moved everything to the left. So when we divide, we move everything to the right. So this time we're going to move every digit one place or one column to the right. So let's look at some examples. 45 millimetres. Well, 45 is made up of 4 tens and 5 units. Okay, so remember, we're dividing by 10. Dividing by 10 means that everything moves one column to the right. We can't move the 5 into the decimal point column. It needs to go all the way into the tenths column. The 4 can then move into where the 5 was. So watch what happens. This is where some of you might make mistakes, so be really careful here. The 4 goes there, the 5 goes there, but the 5 has jumped across the decimal point column, so we need to put that decimal point in. If you don't put the decimal point in, you just end up with 45 again. So this time the answer is 4.5 centimetres. So all of these answers down here are going to have a decimal point. Don't forget that, it's so important. Right, let's move on to the next one, 53. So again, we write it down in the correct place. The 3 jumps all the way across into the tenths. The 5 jumps into the units. So that now gives us 5 and 3. But don't forget, there's the decimal point column in between. So I must put the decimal point in there. So that's going to be 5.3 centimetres. Notice, because I'm changing it into centimetres, I must have centimetres as my units for the answer. Same idea for 78 millimetres. I'm not going to put arrows in, but you can see now that the 8 is going to jump across here, so I'm going to write the 8 there. The 7 is going to jump into the 8 column, so that's going to be there. And again, I have my decimal point, so it's going to give me 7.8 centimetres. Okay, for questions 4 to 8, they are now dealing with hundreds. Okay, so we need to come into our hundreds column. So let's look at the first few, and I'll do those with arrows, and then I'll stop doing the arrows because I'm going to run out of space. 127, so that gets written down in the correct column headings. 100, 2 tens, 7 units. I'm still only dividing by 10, which means that the 7 is going to jump across into there, the 2 is going to jump across into there, and the 1 is going to jump across into there. So I'll rewrite underneath the arrows. My 7 goes there, my 2 goes there, my 1 goes there. Decimal point column, don't forget the decimal points. So that gives me 12.7. Take care with these ones when you get a 0 in the middle. 104, let's see how that one works. 104. Okay, again, exactly the same idea. Everything moves one column across. So the 4 jumps across into this column. Okay, the 0 goes where the 4 was, and the 1 goes where the 0 was. So I'm just going to write it in reverse order. 4. This 0 is vital. You need to put it in. Please don't forget it. That's very, very important. And my 1 goes in there. So that gives me 10.4. So 104 millimetres is exactly the same as 10.4 centimetres. Let's look at the next one, 112 millimetres. So I'll write it down, 100, 110, 2 units. The 2 moves one column to the right. The 1 moves a column to the right. The other one moves a column to the right. Now I'm going to take each of these digits and put it underneath its arrow. So the 2 goes there, the 1 goes there, the 1 goes there, and that gives me 11.2. Okay, for these ones I'm running out of space rapidly, but 136, 1, 3, 6 gets written there, and then the 6 jumps across to over here. The 3 gets written under the 6, the 1 gets written under the 3, because this is what happens. The 6 jumps across, the 3 jumps across, the 1 jumps across. Don't forget the decimal point, so that gives me 13.6 centimetres. And if you get the idea of what's going on, 241, well, the 1 jumps over to the tenths, the 4 jumps into the units, the 2 jumps into the tens. Sorry, I've run out of space. So that gives me 24.1 centimetres. And that is how we change millimetres into centimetres using a grid.